बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम अली अल्लाह मदद फरमा वाहिदुल कहार अली अल्लाह मदद फरमा नूर मौलाना शाह करीम हुसैनी हाजिमाम या मौला मेहरबान मुश्किल कुशा हेल्प अस मौला या मौला मेहरबान. You are Rahim, you are Rahman, be the light on the tongue, Mawla, be the light in the heart, Mawla. Ya Mawla Meherban, Ya Mawla Meherban, help us, Mawla. Ya Ali Allah, Madad Farma, Madad Farma, Madad Farma. Beautiful zikr, wonderfully. We are doing the intention on the group every day with new tasbih. Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. Shukranillah, Alhamdulillah. Today we will start with a new Farman, and this is another beautiful story which is given in Farman as well as in Quran. And Maulana Sultan Muhammad Shah mercifully is teaching us, to study the stories which are given in Quran. Very interestingly, Quran is not the book of stories. Then why do we say that we have these stories? Behind these stories are like allegories, they are like parables full of tawilah, and we need to be able to understand what are the hidden tawilah wisdom in these farmans as well as in the Quran. So any story, any example when we read in Farman or Quran, Imam is teaching us, and we need to be able to understand what are the hidden gems in these Faramis. So today we have such Farman. This is Farman number 8 in Kalam Imam Mubin book, April 4th, 1893. हक मौलाना धनी सलामत दाता सरकार आका सुल्तान मोहम्मद शाह हाजरी माह में फरमावी हम यो सवाल पढ़े अल्लाहुम्मा सल्ली अला मुहम्मद व आल मुहम्मद. हजरत मूसाની કોમમાં એક ઈમાનદાર બાઈ હતી. તેના માટે 3 જણાએ માંગો મોકલાવ્યો. તેમાંથી એક જણ ઈમાનદાર હતો અને 2 જણ ઈમાન વગરના હતા. તે બાઈએ ઈમાનવાળાઓનો માંગો કબૂલ કર્યો અને 2 જણાની માંગી પાછી ફેરવવી, જેથી એ 2 જણાએ પોતાના દિલમાં હસદ રાખી તે ઈમાનદારને મારી નાખ્યો. So Maula Bapa is telling us the story, the time of Hazrat Musa alayhi salam, that in his nation there was a very pious believer Momina, and there were 3 men who actually sent their proposal to marry her. Now out of these 3, one was believer, pious, faithful, but the other 2 were not believers. They were not be-imani, they didn't have iman, they were not believers. So what did she do? She accepts the proposal from the believer and she refuses the 2 other men. Now these 2 men, when they were refused, they did not have the rejection well, and they had this hasad in their heart. And then Maula says, પાછળથી તે 2 જણાએ હઝરત મૂસા પાસે આવીને no, what they did, these 2 men, because they had hasad in their heart, they actually murdered, they killed that man who was pious, who was accepted by this moment. And then these 2 men, after killing, they go to Hazrat Musa alayhi salam. પાછળથી તે 2 જણા એ હઝરત મૂસા પાસે આવીને અરજ કરી કે અમારામાંના એક સાથીને બની ઇસ્રાઈલે મારી નાખેલ છે, તેનો તમે ઇન્સાફ કરી આપો. Now, not only they killed him, they go to Hazrat Musa alayhi salam complaining that the children of Israel, the people of Israel, has killed one of our fellow men, and we request you to do justice about it. હઝરત મૂસાએ ફરમાવ્યું કે તમે એક ગાય લઈ આવી, તેનો લોહી મારનારના ઉપર છાંટશો તો તે જીવતો થશે. Very interestingly, Hazrat Musa alayhi salam's solution was that you go bring a cow, an ox, and you kill the cow and get the blood of it and spray the blood of that cow on the face of this man who was killed. When you do that, that man will come to life. ત્યારે તેઓએ અરજ કરી કે ગાય બુઢી લઈ આવીએ કે જવાન. Now they're asking Hazrat Musa that this ox, has to be young or old. Hazrat Musa ફરમાવ્યું કે ના બુઢી ના જવાન. Hazrat Musa says, not an old one or not a young one, kind of in between. ત્યારે તેઓએ અરજ કરી કે તેનો રંગ કેવો. Now again they ask him question. Now look at these men. I mean, we can understand they are the ones who are the killers. Now they're asking questions. After one question, now they're asking another question. Then what should be the color of this cow? White or yellow? Safed ke ratu. Hazrat Musa farmabiyu ke safed na ratu. He says, no, not white, not yellow, kind of in between. ત્યારે તેઓએ ફરીથી પૂછ્યું કે તેના શરીર ઉપર ટીકો જોઈએ. Now again they are asking question that do we need a mark on the body of the ox? ત્યારે હઝરત મૂસાએ ફરમાવ્યું કે હા, તેની પેશાની ઉપર એક ટીકો જોઈએ. Interestingly, this time Hazrat Musa alayhi salam says yes, this cow, this ox should have a mark on her forehead. ત્યારે શહેરમાં એક ઈમાનદાર રહેતો હતો. તેની પાસે ટીકાવાળી એક ગાય હતી. હઝરત મૂસાએ તેના સ્વપ્નમાં આવીને કહ્યું કે તને તારી ગાયને કોઈ કિંમત પૂછે તો કહેજે કે મારી માને પૂછો. Now very, very interesting. In the same city, there was one faithful man who had this kind of cow, who had a mark on the forehead. Hazrat Musa alayhi salam communicates to him in his dream, instructing him, telling him that if someone comes to you asking the cost of your cow, tell them to ask my mom. Now, Hazrat Musa તેની માના સપનામાં આવીને કહ્યું કે તેને કોઈ આવીને પૂછે કે તારી ગાયની કિંમત કેટલી, તો તેને કહેજે કે આ ગાયનો આખો ચમડો સોના મોહરાથી ભર્યા. Then Hazrat Musa alayhi salam goes into dream of a mom, instructing her in her dream that if someone comes to you asking the cost of the cow, tell them that you need to fill the whole skin, the whole skin of the cow with gold and jewels. That will be the cost of that cow. પાછળથી તે બને જણ એ આવી ત્યાંને તે ગાયની કિંમત પૂછી. Now these two men who are looking for such cow who has the mark on the forehead, finally they find this man and they reach to him and they're asking the cost. So this man says that, go to my mom. That is why they both actually go to the mom. When they go to the mom told exactly what Hazrat Musa alayhi salam had instructed them. જેથી એ બને જણા તે ગાયને કિંમત આપી અને ગાય લઈ આવ્યા. So these two men pay the cost of all that, imagine cow's skin, filling it all with the gold. That much amount of gold and gems, they actually pay for this cow to the mom and then they bring the cow. જેથી તેઓએ આ ગાયને કાપીને તેનું લોહી મારનાર ઉપર છાંટ્યું. જેથી મારનાર જીવતો થઈ કહેવા લાગ્યો કે આ બંને જણાએ મને મારી નાખ્યો હતો. Very interestingly, these two men now, cut the cow and get the blood. And this blood, when they put it on the man who was, killed, on its face, this guy comes to life. And he says immediately that these two are the men who killed me. So these two men were punished. So this is the story. Now, before we go further, I must tell you that this story is mentioned in Quran, chapter 2, verse 67 to 74. And I would like to show it to you all so you can actually see how interesting it is that exactly same story is there. The reason, remember, we had started this group saying that we really want to learn more than what we see. So this is our time to really be able to see that how the story is mentioned in Quran as well. So I will display it to you. Let's see if I can do that. Are you able to see this screen, Karim?
Ji.
Okay, wonderful. So this is Surah Baqarah. So we'll just read the translation. There are different translations one can choose from here in different languages. But let's just read this translation and remember the story we just read. And when Moses said to his people, indeed, Allah commands you to slaughter a cow, they said, do you take us in ridicule? He said, I seek refuge in Allah from being among the ignorant. So when they asked Hazrat Musa, they were like, really? And Hazrat Musa says, yes, I take refuge from ignorant like you. They said, call upon your Lord to make clear to us what it is. Says, it is a cow which is neither old nor virgin, but medium between that. So do what you are commanded. So when they start asking the questions, the way we read in Farman, Hazrat Musa is answering that, okay, if you want me to ask Allah, what kind of cow? And then they are being answered, nor old nor young. They said, call upon your Lord to show us what is her color. He says, it is a yellow cow, bright in color, pleasing to the observers. So we see a different, thing mentioned in Quran than Farman. Why there's a change in the story? When story is being told in the way of the teller. The story here in the Quran is a little bit different when Imam tells us. So whenever the story is being told, it is the version of the storyteller. So Imam is telling us that story that, would you want a white or yellow? So again, there was a question asked. So they were told yellow. He says, it is a cow neither trained to plow the earth. Okay, then they asked another question. They said, call upon your Lord to make it clear to us what it is. Indeed, cow looks alike to us, and indeed we, if Allah wills, will be guided. So, again, they're asking what kind of look the cow has to have. He says, so Musa is saying, Allah is saying, it is a cow neither trained to plow the earth nor to irrigate the field, one free from fault with no spot upon her. They said, now you have come with the truth, so they slaughtered her, but they could hardly do it. So interestingly, this time in the Quran, again, it says that free of any spot. And then they said, okay, we have now understood what kind of cow. And when you slew a man and disputed over it, but Allah was to bring out that which you were concealing. Surely they were concealing that they were themselves were the killer. So we said, strike the slain man with a part of it, thus does Allah bring the dead to life. And he shows you his signs that you might reason. How can a dead person come to life when the blood of the cow is sprayed over that person? Does not make sense. It is not logical. But again, it says in the Quran, he shows you his signs that you might reason. You use your intellect. Taqilun. Taqtalun. So, you use your intellect. Then the last verse, chapter 2, Surah Baqarah, verse 74 says, then your hearts became hardened after that, being like stones or even harder. For indeed there are stones from which rivers burst forth. And there are some of them that split open and water comes out. And there are some of them that fall down for fear of Allah, and Allah is not aware of what you do. Very interestingly, in this verse, there's kind of conclusion that these men, they themselves were the killers, but they were asking questions, and then after that, they're asking more questions. It just logically doesn't make sense that how, ignorant they were, that they thought they had, doubt on Hazrat Musa alayhi salam. They had doubt that the dead can come to life and actually they will be punished. They were arrogant and ignorant. They thought, oh, they can never be caught. So Allah is beautifully saying that your hearts have been hardened like a stone, even harder than the stone. And then very interestingly, there are different types of stones are being mentioned. One type is such, one is which are so hard that they are harder than these stones. Can you imagine? Stone is already hard. What can be harder than the stone? That is the status of the heart. And then it says that there are some stones from which rivers come out. There are some stones, they split open when the water comes onto it. And there are some of them, they fall down for fear of Allah. Stones fall down with fear of Allah. And of course, Allah is not unaware of what you do. Again, the whole thing when we read in Quran even, it is full of allegories, parables. So this is the same story which is mentioned in Quran. Mola Papa, with his own words, in his example, looking at the Jamaat sitting in front of him, is explaining this story. So they can realize and understand what is being talked about. So we have understood how the story is being mentioned in Quran. Now, let us discuss. First, the first ta'wil actually Imam gives. So let us study that ta'wil, what Imam says. બાદ માના હાજેમાં મેં ફરમાવ્યું જો અગર તેઓએ ગાયના રંગ વગેરે બાબતું ના પૂછ્યું હોત તો તે કોઈ પણ થાતે નહીં. Imam is saying that if those men had not asked about the color of the cow or explanation about the characteristics of cow, nothing would have happened. But they did ask. જ્યારે પણ ફરમાન થાય ત્યારે તેના માટે ફરીથી પૂછવું વાજિબ નથી. Very, very interesting. Imam is explaining to us that the way these men had asked that what will be the color of the cow, how would it look, what does it mean, all these questions were asked. And Imam then says that whenever there's a farman given to you, farman is given to mu'mineen, those who are believers, those who are pious. For what? To obey the farman. One should not ask again about the farman. अगर हमें तमने फरमावी कि दुआ नहीं पढ़ो तो तुम्हारे दुआ नहीं पढ़नी. Very, very drastic example Imam gives, and Imam says, when I ask you, do not say your dua. Then do not say it. Do not say it. Now tell me, if today we hear this farman, we will say, hi, how come? Dua nahi padho. We will not say dua. We will ask questions. We'll use our own intellect because we think we are smarter than Imam. We are not supposed to do that. We are supposed to just follow the farman. Our intellect is partial intellect. Imam's intellect is complete intellect. We are not supposed to ask questions. But do we not ask questions? Now here, I should draw this distinction that it is not that we are discouraging to ask questions in, Farman discussion classes or ilmi classes, because Imam is saying that. Imam is saying when the farman is crystal clear what we are supposed to do, and it is wrong. For in our intellect, it sounds wrong. It does not make sense. I should not say wrong, but people do ask like that. So I'm trying to help us think, very critically about the way we think. Remember, underlying thinking is that we know more. We are intellectuals, we are educated, we can understand, we have logic. In front of Imam, we do not know. Our logic does not make sense. It is Imam who is giving us Farman. So when Imam gives us Farman, which is not logical for us, we should not ask any question. We say, Ji Khudaven, we will obey the Farman. That is the duty of a moment. So look at the example. Dua is compulsory in our tariqah. And Imam is saying, if I were to tell you, do not say your dua. You should not say your dua. Do not say why. We should not ask why. Even though our intellect is screaming, why? We have to tell our intellect that my intellect is limited. It is Imam's hukum. I have to obey the farman. And if we ask Mola that Mola, help me understand, give me this understanding that why are you asking us to do that? That understanding will come. But first duty is to obey the farman. Then Imam is saying, અમે ફરમાવીએ કે આ કામ સવાબનું છે તો તે માટે ફરીથી પૂછવાનું નહીં કે કેવા સવાબ થશે કોઈ પણ ફરમાન થાય તો તે પ્રમાણે કરવું. Now Mola says, another example, Mola says, I give you farman that if you do this action, if you do this, you will get sawab, you will get reward, you will get benefit. Then do not ask what kind of benefits. Meaning Imam is actually teaching us what does farman bardari means. When the farman is there, it is a hukum of Imam and we have to accept. We do not ask questions. Why have you made the farman like that? What am I supposed to do? Am I doing it or not? That would be the question. Have I left any, farman without following it? Am I obedient to, crux of it? That is the question we need to ask. કોઈ પણ ફરમાન થાય તો તે પ્રમાણે કરવું. So Imam is saying, whatever farman you get, you just have to follow the farman. હેલ ફરમાન માટે ફરીથી પૂછવાનું સબબ એ છે કે પૂછનાર સમજે છે કે હું કેવો હોશિયાર છું એવી મગરૂરી કરે છે. Imam Sultan Ahmad Shah's farmans are amazing. Mola opens up everything and tells us. Mola says, when Mola gives us farman and somebody asks, despite of understanding, they ask. Imam is saying that they are showing that they think that they are more knowledgeable than Imam. They become proud. They have this pride that, you know what, I know, so I'm going to ask you, I'm going to test you. Do we see people doing that? So if that is the habit, that habit is shown everywhere, in Imam's Farman as well, because what is the reason? Oh, I know more, I'm smart, I'm educated, I have PhD, I can ask questions like that. Or I know how to, articulate my questions, so I will ask. Not that, there's a need to ask. So do understand. Please remember that we are not discouraging from asking questions, but we are learning here that when Imam's Farman is there, we should not ask why this farman. We can seek understanding of it. That Mola, what is the wisdom behind it? If someone says, what is the wisdom behind it, Mola, help me understand, learn the wisdom. That is a different way of asking than showing off, in a way that, why are you saying this? What does that mean? The way, the attitude of it, the underlying gesture, the underlying thought in the heart of the person who is asking the question. If it is coming from the area where I know more and I can challenge you, I can test you, that is not needed. That is coming from the area of arrogance, and we as a moment, arrogance in front of Imam, what are we even saying here? Can you imagine what is the level of Iman if we talk like that? But people must be like that, and there are people like that. We do see them. It's not that we don't hear people like that. We do. So if we have normally, if we see these kind of people who ask questions and have this habit of doing that, do we think they would not do that to Imam? So Imam is teaching us that understand the status of Imam. He's Aql. He is Nafsikul. Who are we? Aqle Garizi, partial intellect. He is universal intellect. Who are we to ask question to him? बाद हाजी इमामे फरमाવ્યું કે જો તેઓ આ ગાયના માટે પહેલા ફરમાન પ્રમાણે લઈ આવ્યા હતે તો કાંઈ થતે નહીં પરંતુ ફરીથી પૂછીને દુખી થયા. Very, very interestingly, Imam is going back to the story, and Imam is saying that if these two men had, when asked the Prophet, Hazrat Musa alayhi salam, that this, injustice has happened to one of our men, what do we do? And Prophet had told them, go get the cow. And Hazrat Musa alayhi salam had told the mother to ask for, such a high amount of gold and gems. So they had already, if they had done that, they'd stopped there and brought the cow, their punishment in the form of the payment would have been sufficient because they lost all the money. Imagine the amount of gold they had to give to that woman who had this cow. It would have been enough. They would have been forgiven. But because they continued to show their arrogance, their questioning, their ignorance, their doubt in the Prophet, of course, they lost their life as well. They lost their money as well as their life as well. Again, it is all about Tawili understanding. That when we have Imam's Faramin in front of us, and when we understand what Imam is saying, for example, take the example of Farman of ethics. Do we not understand what is ethics? I was talking to some friends, visiting from Pakistan, that how interesting it is that when we talk of ethics, we see a lot of, ethics being followed in Western countries versus when we see developing countries, it is not happening. So what is the difference? How come, same people who travel from Pakistan, India, Africa, they follow the rules of the government and they are very good citizens. But those same people, when they were living in those countries, why were they not good citizens? Or why, the ethics was not followed? Remember, there are difference in people. So we are just talking about general example, not everybody. There are people who are really good as well. So no matter where they live. Very interestingly, in Western countries, there are laws, there are rules. If someone does not follow the rule, they will have punishment. And I normally give example of driving, that when you drive and if you do not follow the rules of driving, what will happen? We'll get ticket. We'll have to pay the ticket. So there is a punishment attached to the behavior, wrong behavior. But when there's a right behavior, there's no punishment. So what happens? People automatically learn to behave in a rightful manner. Now, when Imam talks about ethics, when it comes to religion, when it comes to Farman Bardari or Tariqa, all this is in batin. Yes, there are physical Farmans as well, but the staunch following of the Farmans, the complete following of the Farman involves the heart and the mind of the moment, which is not visible to everybody. But what happens when we do not see the batin, and we don't understand the wisdoms hidden in the Farmans, in the Quran, in the Ginans, we are not able to improve our behavior. What do we do? Oh, so what will happen? Okay, if I don't do, what will happen? What will be, benefit of this? What will be the punishment of that? What does that mean? We continue to ask questions as if that all these questions will help us improve our behavior. In reality, when we seek Tawili ilm, we truly understand the wisdom of Farmans, Ginans, and Quran, all these questions actually become irrelevant. All these questions become irrelevant. A child may ask question, very many questions, and we do if we are, around children. Everything. Why? No. They will start with saying no. I don't want to do this. I don't want to eat. I don't want to do that. And then they will learn why, why. A child does do that. An adult is a patient learner. Asks questions intelligently and has patience as well. Uses reflection in its own intellect to rationalize, reflect, and get the wisdom and the answer, seeks knowledge to be able to get higher wisdom. So I hope that you are all with me understanding what we are talking about. As the religion itself, if you had attended the last class on Scent of Soul, we talked about Islam religion having four darja, four ranks: Shariat, Tariqat, Hakikat, and Marifat. Ismaili Tariqa is Hakikati Tariqa. But Ismaili Tariqa is from Islam, from Deen Haq, which was a level of Shariat as well, as a child. Today, that child has grown up, it is an adult, seeking Marifat, Shariat, Tariqat, Hakikat, Marifat. So this is a grown up, Tariqa. We are Hakikati Tariqa. When we ignore the importance of believing the batin, we become followers of the religion at a level of physical. And then we think, because we are educated in nowadays and we have, worldly status or worldly titles or whatever, we use our intellect to ask questions. Ask Imam, why? What benefit? Instead of seeking knowledge to understand the wisdoms hidden in Imam's farmans, we ask Imam. So one of the ta'wil, which is very clearly given in Imam's farman, that it is related to Farman Bardari. And given the story, the example which we heard, that if those gentlemen had obeyed the Farman when the first command was given, that is to bring the cow. And when they had gotten the cow, they had paid the money, they would have been okay. But because they kept on asking and asking and asking, they got further punishment. So that ta'wil in context of Farman Bardari is clear to us. What are more ta'wilat? The killing of carnal soul. When Hazrat Musa alayhi salam is saying that kill this cow, the example of the cow is actually of carnal soul, nafs-e ammara. The example of this cow, the allegory of this cow is actually alluded to our own carnal soul, our nafs-e ammara. Killing, slaughtering, using a knife. What is that knife? That knife, that action of slaughtering is actually use of our isme azam. The second level of understanding, the ta'wil which you are learning, slaughtering the cow is using our isme azam to kill our nafse ammara, our carnal soul. When a mu'min salik becomes, farman bardar, seeks isme azam and wants to come close to the nur of the Imam and starts doing ibadat, the more focus, the more ibadat which is done without the thoughts of here and there, and focus on the jap, on the goal of the Isme Azam, ek dhyan ibadat, sitting in Baitul Khiyal. These are the mu'minins who start their journey to kill their carnal soul. Because shaitan never ever wants us to say his name even once. Even once. Because even once when we say Ya Ali, we are hitting the carnal soul. Imagine sitting for 1 hour saying Ya Ali, Ya Ali, Ya Ali, Ya Ali, without any disruption. It is very important not to miss ibadat time. It is extremely crucial, no matter what happens, we do not miss ibadat time. And in the beginning, if we are having difficulty to wake up for ibadat, it is important to go to bed on time. have all those discipline which are needed to not miss ibadat. It is recommended not to eat dinner, because if you don't eat dinner or eat very early in the evening, you will not be heavy, full belly. It will be easier for you to wake up for ibadat. Do not miss ibadat at any cost. Do everything which is needed. Now, someone may ask here, I'm listening to your question, that I do normally say that if you want to kill the carnal soul, there are 3 ways. What are the 3 ways? Eat less, sleep less, talk less. So if somebody says, let me do zikr ibadat at night time till late, and if they end up missing the ibadat in the morning, do not be doing the zikr. Do limited zikr. Sleep on time. Create time, discipline in such a way that you go to bed on time so you can wake up for ibadat, because that's the commitment we have given to Imam. To be able to stay awake more, to be able to do more zikr, it actually comes with practice. And probably if you are someone who wants to do more zikr ibadat, start with weekends, because you can catch up on your sleep during the daytime if you need to. But every new learning requires sacrifice, discipline, following those discipline, so we can not miss being Farman Bardar Mominin of Iman. Zikr is important, but zikr can be done throughout the awake hours. We do not need to compromise on the sleep time, because if we are someone who has difficulty to wake up on time or stay awake because you stayed awake till late, then you can't wake up for ibadat time. You do not need to stay awake. You need to sleep. Our foremost responsibility is to wake up for ibadat. That Isme Azam is very crucially important. Without the ibadat of Isme Azam, please know there is no elevation. So this tawil, this killing of Ka, Imam is teaching us to become very, very disciplined, regular in ibadat of bandagi. Now, those who do not have Isme Azam, and they are listening to these lectures and they become interested to do ibadat, I would highly encourage, just say Ya Ali, just Maula's name, any name of Imam says, any zikr, whatever touches your heart, but start sitting in ibadat. Have this habit. You can practice. And if you feel that you are becoming regular, stronger, you're enjoying that practice, then when Maula comes next, get this Azam. It is important for our elevation. If we are interested to elevate, get Azam. But practice from now, so at that time, no guilt attacks us. Because when we listen to, missionaries teaching us that if you've not been practicing, if you fear that you will not be able to sit in ibadah, please don't take Isme Azam. And people become demotivated and they don't take Isme Azam. Without Isme Azam, there is no elevation. And tell me, those who take Isme Azam, do they miss ibadah? I'm sure there are times that people do. So what is the difference of, why would one not take Isme Azam? Isme Azam is the path to elevation. Isme Azam is very important. It is the way to start killing our carnal soul. But those who do not have Isme Azam need to start practicing from today. Please do not delay. And those who have Isme Azam and for some reasons are not able to do ibadat, do everything in your power, make it possible, do everything, do not miss ibadat. It is Farman Bardari of Imam, because it is us who went to Imam and asked for Isme Azam. So the second important Tawili understanding from this story, when we have to kill this cow, the killing is of carnal soul. Slaughtering the knife, use of knife is actually using of Isme Azam, which is like a knife, killing our carnal soul. Every name kills the carnal soul. It is that powerful. Yali name, when it is said with complete conviction, love, and desire to elevate, have the ishq of Imam in our heart, wanting to kill the carnal soul, it is truly we are warrior and we have sword in our hand and we are killing right and left. Imagine that, imagination in your mind, and then sit in ibadah like a warrior, being in armor. No sleep is needed. No jhoka is needed. No yawning is needed, and we are killing the carnal soul. Truly sitting in ibadat is as if we are in a war. We are in the Lashkar fighting the war with Imam. So, second tawil, second understanding is very important and clear. Now, another very important understanding this story gives us that this example of cow or ox, because in Quran it does give us the example of these ox. They are not able to, they are not trained to plow the field, but they are not untrained as well, kind of in between. Why that example? Again, we have to take every allegory and try to understand. Remember, Imam has given his Farman, and Imam gave us the Tawil too, according to the level of the Jamaat sitting in front of him. It was in 1893. Today we are sitting in 2023. Wow, 2023. Can you imagine that in today's time, when we are so educated, there is expectations which are higher. We are with education, with learning. So very interestingly, Alhamdulillah, with Imam's versi, we also studied the Quranic verses. And that is the story Imam is referring from Quran. So now we can study Quran and understand the more allegories hidden in the story for us to benefit and learn. So in the Quranic verse, it mentions that this cow is actually an ox as well, and who can plow, but not actually plowing the field. So kind of in between, but has this ability to plow the field, right? Why would Allah give us that example? Now, and this is the story about children of Israelites. Whenever we read children of Israel, I hope that we know this much history, that Israel was the title of Jacob, Hazrat Yaqub alayhi salam. So for English learners, English speakers, it is Jacob. When you hear the prophet Jacob, it's his title was Israel. And it is his nation, the children of Jacob and then Joseph. It's the same nation where Hazrat Musa alayhi salam comes. So it's the same group of nation we are talking about, the ancestors. So children of Israel, meaning children of Yaqub, Jacob, from that time to that nation, Hazrat Musa alayhi salam came as the Natik to give them the guidance. Those Mu'mineen, those children of Israelites at that time, they were at the beginning level of learning. Remember when we talk of Shariat, Tariqat, Haqiqat, Marifat, all those were mentioned in this example were at the level of Shariat. They were beginning level. They were at the children level. Do as I tell you to do. No question asked. Now reflect, pause here. This Farman, when Imam says that Farman Bardari, do not ask me question. What level was the Jamaat sitting in front of Imam? We got to reflect and think. Now, when these people who were given this example of bringing an ox who can plow the field, has the experience of plowing the field, whenever we think of this plowing of the field, we understand that there is an earth and it has to be plowed on, so there is growth, there's crops. Remember, the allegory of the earth is Momin, us. And when the earth is plowed, what is happening? There'll be growth. Meaning the seeds are being put in. So what is being taught to us in this example, in this allegory, that this cow is such who knows also how to plow the field. Meaning, remember that carnal soul is the first level of the soul which we have. It is nafs-e amara. But that carnal soul can be transformed. When we talk about killing, there is no killing of soul as per se. It is transforming that carnal soul with Isme Azam's ibadat and true knowledge. When we transform it, it becomes the conscientious soul, the soul which is guided by the Imam, nafs-e lawama. So when we listen to this example of, plowing of the field, meaning this earth, this moment who becomes very regular in ibadat, is learning the true knowledge and becoming complete Farman Bardar by understanding the knowledge and becoming staunch moment, being the Farman Bardar and not missing ibadat for single moment in Nurani time, ibadat of Ismail Azam. When we are able to do that, meaning that we are elevating ourselves from the level of Shariat, Tariqat to Hakikat. Otherwise, one can be born in Ismaili Tariqa in Hakikati Tariqa, can remain at the level of Shariat, can remain at the level of Shariat. But from Shariat comes Tariqat and becomes Hakikat. And we can make it very simple and understand. A child starts the journey at a blind faith, following the Shariat, because mom tells him, he copies mom. Then what mom tells him, he does do it. But then this child grows up. So Shariat, Tariqat, Hakikat. So when we are employing this field of our heart, that means we are seeking knowledge, doing ibadat, and understanding and elevating ourselves. Now, take another allegory which is given about the color of the cow. Would it be white or would it be yellow? Why color? There is another Quranic verse which talks about seeing beautiful sceneries and colors in the first heaven. When a woman is Salik starts doing ibadat and starts, becoming Farman Bardar, elevates himself or herself at the first level of heaven, they start seeing things in their bathing, in their ibadat. They start seeing things. And it is colorful, it is beautiful. And Quran says that this is a stage, this is the place or first stage which is created for those who are unworthy. What does that mean? In this Quranic verses and this Farman, when we heard this question, would this cow be white or yellow? Color questions related to the color of the cow. It is actually talking about a moment as Salik when they start doing ibadat or bandagi or start learning knowledge and start seeing things. That is the first heaven when they see colorful, beautiful things, they experience things, and they think that they have seen the light. They have elevated themselves and they get stuck there. Because what happens is they think, oh, I have seen the new. I'm elevated, I'm happy, and I've become someone. And that's it. They do not go above that level. Why? Because they become proud, they become arrogant, they become, thinking of themselves as someone. All these thoughts are there due to lack of knowledge. So when ibadat is done without knowledge, and even sometimes the traps are there in knowledge as well, because when we have knowledge, we are able to speak fluently, articulately with the knowledge. All these can take us, to the elevation of the first heaven. And at the level of the first heaven, there are things which are seen, but that is the trap which is created for unworthy people. And this is mentioned in Quran. So they stay happy there and remain there. They can never go to the second level. They can never go to the second level. It is a trap which is being created. And I would add here, because those people, sometimes this question is asked, that's why I'm covering this, that what happens to people who are non-Ismaili? And when we listen to them or when we see them, they're really pious and they talk in such a way that they indicate, they show sign that they are elevated. They would be. I don't deny that, I don't disagree. Because anybody who works hard can get to this first hand. So any bhagat someone listens to, or any sadhu, which I normally sometimes hear from some Jamati members, because that happens, TV is turned on and we are listening to a priest or a sadhu or bhagat. So we do know that when we see them elevated or hear them speaking beautifully, the first heaven is there for everybody. But for Ismailis, smiley Muslims, Quran is teaching us, Farman is teaching us that the first heaven is a first heaven. It's the first stage. Mu'min, according to Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah, is never happy at the first stage. Mu'min's desire is to continuously elevate themselves further and further. So if someone sees some light, some, dreams or some experiences, they become more humble and they detach from that uh, uh, happiness. It is important in the beginning, you have to detach so it doesn't go to our head. Stay humble. So we continue to elevate to go to the higher level. Otherwise, this goes to our head. And if it goes to head, that's what Shaitan exactly wants us to do. Oh, I am someone, I feel this and I have that. Immediately, we have limited ourselves and we have fallen down. So that was another teaching which was hidden in this story. Then another important understanding through the example of this ox, which is given to us, is of greed. Gluttonous level of the soul of a man, greed. Hazrat Imam very clearly says in Baitul Khayal Farman that do not be greedy. Meaning, in Baitul Khayal, when we see the light, we have to keep it with ourselves. Because remember, we do not know if it is first light, we have to be really, really watching out for ourselves that Shaitan will put into our head that, oh, we have gotten the light. We need to detach. We need to stay humble and we do not need to be greedy as well. We seek more. We want more. There's no doubt about it. We all are seekers. But with great humility, not being greedy. Never complain to Imam that you gave me once, now you are not giving. Who are we to ask? It is not our right. So how can we say, oh, I'm sitting in Ibadat, but I don't see light. Is it your right? No. It is our job to sit? Yes. Why then this question? Yes, question at the level of knowledge when asked, meaning that, am I doing everything which is required of me to do? That is called understanding of my responsibility, which I've taken upon myself. Without knowledge, Isme Azam will not help us understand what we see. For example, this is just one example. Somebody sees light, and I have an experience with some friends in a gathering. Someone says, oh, I've seen the light. I'm happy and I'm okay. This was said in a gathering. So there are Jamaati members, when they don't have knowledge, they do think and say like that. So what that friend did, they said they got the light and they were happy, meaning that first heaven, there's no desire to go further. Imam says we have to have desire. We want to have elevation. We are seeking. We have to do giryazari to elevate, for elevation, to seek Imam's highest, most possible Nurani Didar. We have Zahiri Didar, we want Batni Didar, then we want Nurani Didar as well. These are different darajat of Didar as well. So we have to be very, very careful that when we see the first light, it does not become our right. We do not become greedy. We do not complain, but we do very humbly continue to seek. So very important again, the point for us to remember to take home is discipline. Discipline in ibadat, discipline, consistency in seeking knowledge. If we have that, then only we will be able to tame this cow or ox, and we'll be able to plow the soil of our heart, of our earth. And when the soil is plowed, it's prepared, it's made ready, then when the rain comes, the water will be absorbed. If the heart has become harder than the stone, remember the Quranic words, chapter 2, verse 74, which we studied. If the heart has become harder than the stone, nothing will happen. But then there are stones through which rivers burst out. Which are those stones? Those stones are like us. Because right now we can say we are like stones. But with Isme Azam's ibadat, with true knowledge, with Giryazari, we will become humble and we'll prepare our earth by constantly plowing on it. And what will happen once? The river will burst. first the water will be absorbed. So discipline, taming this undisciplined kaha, our nafs, our carnal soul, it has to be tamed. And taming is only possible by becoming very strict with it, very critical with it, because it has, the way Pir says in Ginan, man tu maha badwant kahinge. It is very powerful, but it is not powerful in front of the name of the Imam. No, it's not. But if someone does not take the name of the Imam, surely nafs is powerful. Those who are seekers, those who take the name of Imam, they will have this ability, this power to tame this carnal soul. Water is absorbed beautifully when the true knowledge is, attained. The personal world, the world which is within us, the universe which is within us, we are learning in the book of healing this concept of personal world. This personal world will become full of this water, meaning this knowledge, becoming soft, becoming ready as the soil. And when Imam's mercy comes, the rivers will burst out, meaning there will be so much knowledge within us. What does Pir say? Atma Ram Tame Bada Ginani. This Atma, this soul, already has all the knowledge, but there is missing of this connection of this soul to our being. And that connection lies in our intellect. When we seek knowledge, we become disciplined, we become, beautiful in taming this ox. Then the connection is there. Isme Azam elevates to our Bhamar Gufa. And then we are able to see the light, become the light, understand the light, see the Imam's Didar, become one with Imam. Everything is possible for Mu'min and Sahib. What hinders? If it is possible for all of us, what hinders us? Callousness of the heart. Callousness, when in the heart there is hasad. The way we saw this in example of these two men. They were also followers of Hazrat Musa, but they were not imandar. They were hasadi. They had jealousy in their heart. So all these teachings which we have learned about, having good deeds, killing the spiritual diseases or healing from the spiritual diseases, Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Maya, Hasad, Ahankar, all these, which we learn in Ginans. Jealousy, pride, ego, lying, cheating, all what we know as spiritual diseases, not having the ethics as Imam says. Those two men became Be-Iman. They were not Imandar. And that is why they went to, after sinning, they went to Prophet Musa, asking him the question. And even when the Farman is given, they continue to ask. Why? Why were they asking? Because number one, they did not believe in Musa. They did not think that he can actually take them to the path of punishment. They thought they have sinned, nobody knows. And it is hidden, nobody will ever find out. So in Urdu, there is the idiom, right? Chori phir sina zul. That you have committed the sin and then you're asking, who sinned? Who sinned? Right? And not only that, after they're asking more questions, meaning that they were laughing, the way in Quran it says, do you take us as a ridicule? Like, do you think of us as stupid? That's their thought is in front of the Prophet Musa. They are not seeing his darja, that he is nafiq. When Jamaat doesn't understand who is Imam in the rank, we put forward our questions. So what? Then what? Why this? What this? Farman Bardari is important. But this part of these two men, this callousness of the heart, when we do zikr ibadat, giryazari, seeking knowledge, but if we are not able to heal ourselves from these spiritual diseases which we have, callousness of the heart, no matter how much we do, all the good deeds which we are doing, it will not take us to elevation. It will continue to stop us because there is callousness in the heart. So, Alhamdulillah, in this Farman, we have learned so many lessons. So many lessons. And if somebody continues to reflect and understand and, regurgitate uh, this story of this Quranic verses, I'm telling you, we'll continue to talk more and more and more. But I have briefly mentioned all these points because I believe the group who is joining here, they are mature, educated, they are seekers, they are learners, they're smarters, they're smart, and then they do not need me to go into really, really in detail to explain things. And remember, if we are seeking to learn more about callousness of the heart, meaning spiritual diseases, there are more lectures. So anyone who wants to refresh their knowledge, there are those lectures available. So please do benefit from lectures which are talking about carnal soul, which are talking about hasad. All those are there for us to help us to elevate from Sharia to Tariqat to Hakikat, and then seek the Marifat. Shukran lillah, walhamdulillah, shukran lillah, walhamdulillah.
Subhanallah, subhanallah, Niamat Sahibah. Once again, a wonderful session. Amazing amount of tawil that you've given us from this very short Farman. I'm sure most of us, if we had read the Farman by ourselves, we wouldn't have had any kind of inclination as to what it really was referring to. So shukr alhamdulillah, thank you. Friends, if you have any questions or comments, please come forward. There is a comment in the chat, Surah 67, Ayat 5, and we have, 1 second, yeah, and it says, and we have certainly beautified the nearest heaven with stars and have made them what is thrown at the devils and have prepared for them the punishment of the blaze. Yeah.
So that's the verse we talked about. Thank you for sharing that.
Exactly. Yes. I have a question. You mentioned the first heaven. So the obvious question would be, how many heavens are there before we can become one with the Imam?
There are very many darajat, very many darajat. So when you say heavens, there are 7 heavens, there are 9 heavens. But in reality, if you are talking or asking about darajat to elevate, it is being said the way we say that there are 124,000 prophets. In reality, this is the number of the darajat one has to elevate. If you have understood the ranks of Hudududdin, which are like 12, those 12 are darajat. So what am I saying by giving you different numbers? The ladder is long. The ladder is very long. But for a mu'min and salik, remember, for a mu'min and salik, it is made possible. One can go step by step. Other may jump few ladders. Some may jump hundreds of steps in one go. It is all within us, this ability to do what we need to do. If someone makes this as a priority, objective of their life, in its true sense, we are not saying to become sadhu or bhagat or nun. We are not saying to leave our worldly life or worldly duties. Please remember that. Living the worldly life, taking upon all the responsibilities and doing what is needed to be done helps us run faster. Because every action when we do with great difficulty, because it is all sacrifice, nobody has time, but we sacrifice. When we sacrifice in today's time, look at the time, someone may say, this, in spite of having some knowledge, they may say, I wish, I would have watched TV and had some relaxation, or played some games or gone out with the friends and, what is this ill, people, think and feel that way sometimes. And if we are someone who is able to let go of those desires or friends or fun or whatever, and if we are learning and seeking and growing, studying our books and understanding, what will happen? The sawab, the benefit becomes so much more multiplied. You know, the example I always give is Eka Sawallah, right? When you do one good deed, you will be benefited 115,000 times, because that number is given in, Farman somewhere. But in reality, is it 115,000 or more? 115,000 is just an allegory. It is much more. The more riyazat we take, meaning we don't have time. We are so, busy in our, worldly life. And despite of all that, we are saying, desiring to learn, make it, multitask and try to learn and listen to lectures and do whatever we need to do and stay walking on the path further and further. And when we do that, you will be so shocked that Imam makes life easier. Automatically, the life will become easier, because the purpose of our life is to do this, to find him, to seek him. He is the hidden treasure. Our life will become, he will make it easier. But first, the sacrifice has to come from our side. When we do that, it will happen for us. And for a Mu'min Sadiq, it is not just step-by-step journey. No, it is hundreds of steps climbing in one go. It is very much possible. And how do I say that, Karim? Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah in his Baitul Khayal Farman has given us two numbers. When someone asked Maula, Imam says that you can elevate to that darja in 3 months. In other place, Imam says you can get to that darja in 3 days. 3 days? Meaning for Mu'min Sadiq, everything is possible with Imam.
Friends, if you have any questions or comments, please come forward.
Yeah, Farman, could you starting with like 2, 3 men and 1 lady, good lady and 1 pious man, and then they kill. So uska bhi kuch kabil hai Farman?
Bilkul. So she's asking about, there was a woman and then there were 3 men. 1 was pious and 2 were not. What is the meaning? So one meaning is very simple and easy. If you take the example of a Mu'min, okay, Mu'min man or woman, we have 3 levels of life, right? Physical, spiritual, and intellectual. Physical is by Iman, for no doubt about it. And when we take our intellect only for the sake of worldly benefit, worldly education, worldly progress, it is also without Iman. So only the soul, which is from Iman, is a Imandar Mu'min man within us, right? A woman, which is ourselves, earth, Mu'min. And one Mu'min is that soul, because the intellect is completely being used for the worldly benefits, right? And the physical is living physical life. But when we start seeking knowledge, when we start using intellect, what happens? The transformation of the physical being, intellectual being happens, and the soul starts elevating. So that was the meaning of it, that a Momina, meaning ourselves, the earth, a Momin Mustajib, 3 levels, physical, spiritual, and intellectual. Baiman was the physical and the intellect, because used only for worldly benefits, and the soul was the Imandar. Hope this helps.
Subhanallah, Farman, alhamdulillah. इतना सोच रही थी मैं, लेकिन इतना कुछ सही समझ आ गया. शुक्र.
Friends, anybody else got any questions or comments? While we're waiting, I have a question, a direct message. When as an Ismaili we see colorful lights, that's the indication that we need to move faster and not get lost in those lights. Is that being greedy, or what will happen after colorful lights?
So a moment, a true moment with true knowledge will not stop at that level, will continue to seek more, and then they will be shown more majizat in their batin, meaning there will be progress in their batin. What will they see? The journey is so individual, Kareem, that sometimes when we, give example of the higher journey, we limit friends in their desiring to see what is being told in the lecture. I would encourage that we all have to read more Farmans, Ginans, and understand Quran to be able to get this broad understanding that his majizat are unlimited. Every individual works hard. Every individual works hard, and according to their hard working, they will be shown the light. Now, have we talked about the light and seeing the majizat in Quran? Yes, we have. In our Gujarati Farman classes, in our different classes we have. And we have talked about that our internal senses, Batni senses will open up. And I hope you will recall this example, which we have, talked about it many times, that Mu'min Sadiq would hear buzzing of a mosquito, which is mentioned in Quran. Buzzing of a mosquito, meaning in Jamaat Khana or in your home, wherever you are doing ibadat, it is a clean place. Where would suddenly a mosquito will be there? Not possible. And then you hearing it so clearly, that is one example of communicating to that Mu'min Sadiq that whatever you are doing, your Batni ear is opening up. You are able to hear something which is not physically present. That is Batni ear opening up, Batni eyes opening up, Batni, all these senses which we have, they are there in Batin as well. Again, my humble request would be, we become very curious. We want to know what will happen. How about we all experience what happens and then seek continuous knowledge to understand our own experiences? How beautiful that journey would be. It would not limit us. It would not make us, fixed in a box. And it will keep us motivated to continue to learn more and more. And when we, study Ginans, Farmans, and Quran, and we've been doing that, when we discuss different, like for example, I recall, we discussed this Ginan, Eji Teri Mohabbat Alagi, trying to understand the Ishq of Imam. And in that Farman, when Peer is talking about his experiences, we have talked about Peer's experiences. So it is a better thing to learn from the experiences of our peers, of our Hujjatan, of our Buzurgwar Deen, and then continue to apply that learning on our progress to be able to see and understand, to protect ourselves, to not let, all these experiences we had get to our head. Remember, humility is the very important principle. So we have to learn and walk on this path of knowledge in such a way that we do not, fall down. We have to walk on the path with complete humility and complete seeking. We are seekers. The hadith says that he is the hidden treasure, and we are seekers of that hidden treasure. So the approach should be to learn more, to understand the experiences of our peers, our Buzurgwar Deen, our Hujjatan, learn the knowledge given in Quran, Ginan, Farmans, Hadith, to be able to understand what we are experiencing. I hope this helps.
Shukran lillah, alhamdulillah. Thank you, Niamat Sahibah. Friends, anybody got any other questions or comments?
Yeah, Madad, I have a question.
Ji, Bhaiji.
Yes. How many stage of Noor we have, in what kind of color they have, and what is the stage, and what we should do with these stages?
Very good question.
Understanding.
Very good question. So we did cover about it, but I understand it's a question. So why don't I recommend you book Ascent of Soul, and to the end chapter actually talks about different types of lights. different types of nur, which we are going to study because we are studying that book in the evening. And the next chapter will be of that different types of light. So why don't I request Karim Sahib to share with you that book and the lectures. So why don't you read that and see what you are able to understand. And then when we continue to walk on this journey of studying that book, you will get your answer. But this will be the answer, will be building on what you already know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I will share
Madad. You said Shariat, Tariqat, Hakikat, and Marifat. These are the ladder or darja. What to say like that?
So darja means ladder, actually, right?
Yeah.
So we use different terms, but they mean the same thing. When we say siri, ladder, darja, ranks, all these are actually meaning the same thing. And when I talked about those 4 levels, these are the darja given in Islam, right? That Islam is on 4 levels. The path of Islam is of Shariat, Tariqat, Hakikat, and Marifat. So your understanding is correct, actually.
Thank you. Shukran.
Shukran.
I just wanted to say that I will share the book via the group chat, okay?
Thank
later. Okay. Friends, any other questions or comments before we finish the session?
Can I ask another question?
Ji.
So in the level of Haqiqat, how many % of people has the Sharia opinion?
So if I'm not wrong, Allama Sahib talks about different the percentages to help us understand in 8 question and answer book. But very interestingly, in the last class of Ascent of Soul, I had shown a chart to give us roughly an idea. Even when we say as Ismaili Jamaat, we are Hakikati, because we are in Hakikati Tariqa. According to the Farman of Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah, when Imam says that teach your children this Hakikati Deen, otherwise they will become the followers of the physical Deen. Physical Deen referring to the Shariat of the Tariqa, right? Meaning they may say dua, they may give the song, they may attend Chandrat Madlas, but all limited to just doing it and not understanding it. Now, it is very difficult to say that in our Jamaat, what percentage is Hakikati and what percentage is not, because we are not capable of doing that. However, when we seek knowledge, based on the knowledge, we can have this understanding when we see around us our friends, our families, our Jamaati members, that how many Jamaati members truly understand why they are doing what they are doing. And when they don't understand, that is telling us that they have not understood the Hakikat part of the Tariqa. In order to understand the Hakikat part of the Tariqa, we have to have Hakiki ilm, true knowledge. If we don't have true knowledge, we are at the Shariat of the religion, according to the Farman of Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah, following the blind faith. Otherwise, Halim Bhai, if we say, if I even were to say 90% or 80% or 70%, even if I say this number, I feel that I come into a category of the one who is judging. And I don't like to do that. We are no judge of anybody's iman. It is only Mawla who knows what is in the heart of anybody, right? So we want to keep ourselves away from that. However, when we seek knowledge, we are able to understand who is who. But we don't bring it to our mouth. We don't do that because then we become, come into the category of judging others, and we cannot do that. We want to protect ourselves from sinning. So I hope this makes sense, Alim Bhai.
Yeah, thank you.
Sure.
Friends, any other questions or comments? Well, thank you, Niamat Sahibah, for a wonderful session. Inshallah, we'll meet next week again with Farman number 9.
Yes, from our ninth. Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you. And Yali Madad, everyone.
Yali Madad friends, thank you.
Yali Madad, everybody.
Yali Madad.
Yali Madad.
Yali Madad.
Yali Madad.
Yali Madad Appa. Thank you so much.
Shukran.
Yali Madad. Thank you very much.
You're most welcome.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you for joining, Yali Madad.